we're going to be discussing nature's defense, all on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the daily edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every day discussing all things pests. And we're going to be discussing nature's defense, probably the next generation of rodent control. But before that, hey, listen, we're on Facebook. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a website. Join in on the conversation. You can join the listeners group. This is exclusively for Pest Geek Podcast listeners. You can join there, and it's Pest Geek Podcast listeners, all four words. You can find us on Facebook. Look us up on the web, pestgeekpodcast.com, where you can get the latest edition. We have a lot of things. We got a new blog where members are contributing to the blog, and they're writing blog posts to help you be a better pest control. So learn from each other what they're doing, what they're learning. And we also got the YouTube channel. So we've got video section on the website. So if you don't want to go to YouTube, you can all find it right on the website, folks. PestGeekPodcast.com. There's also a phone number you can call 24/7. Leave a recorded message if you want to leave us something that you want us to play on the air. Feel free to leave us the name of your company, who you work for. If not, you can just do it anonymously. If you don't want to be recognized, hey, just disguise your voice and put like a robot recording so nobody knows who you are. But go ahead and leave the comment anyway. We would greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's be talking about nature's defense.
Hello to all you Pest Geek Podcast listeners. This is Jeff McGovern, the Pest Coach. This week, I want to bring up something with regards to rodents. And certainly, most of you in this audience are well versed at the current methods and processes for rodent control that we do today. We use bait stations, we use traps, we use glue boards, and any number of other rather creative strategies in order to deal with these animals. And of course, we also use exclusion. But the bottom line is, we are structural pest control folks at heart. We deal with guarding the property of people, the buildings we live in, be they commercial or residential. And in the rodent world, we try to keep them out. Even though these rodents survive so well with us and they would love to be here, we provide them with everything they need to survive. We provide them with food, we provide them with water, we provide them with harborage, and they are perfectly happy to live in close proximity to us. However, we don't feel that much in return. We would rather they weren't with us. They destroy our property, they endanger our health, and it's just not a good mix. Now, I mentioned all the ways we have dealt with these things in the past, and we're looking at something new now. And just a few days ago, and what prompted me to want to decide to talk about this in a podcast, we did a webinar with Target Specialty Products and a firm called Wiser, who makes Nature's Defense. That's a new type of rodent material, new type of control material that allows us to repel rodents. And to give you a little bit of background, I met Mark Weiser probably 5 years ago now, and it was at a trade show in Orlando. And in going through the show, which was not a pest control show, mind you, I come upon this gentleman who is selling repellents. And I had repellent experience before with another firm. And in talking to Mark, very nice gentleman, by the way, from the outset, he said, you know, Jeff, I have a product that repels rodents. Right away, my antenna went up. Really? When, of course, I've seen rodent repellents before. I've tried them before. Well, you know, they didn't work real well. But you know, I tried them. I gave it the old college shot, as they say. Well, Mark persevered, and he said, Jeff, you really have to try this. Here's a university test that we had done. Well, wait a minute. This is pretty interesting. You know, a documented test that was done on the product. In this particular case, it was for mice. You know, I was pretty impressed. there were some good numbers there. And it really did repel the mice. Now, Mark Weiser himself is a 30-year veteran of scent technology. And the way he explains it, scent is the animal's way of communication, the same way that we might have a conversation with one another. They get messages from that scent, and they will do certain things based on the scent they receive. And it's those messages that Mark is able to take and communicate to the animals in order to get them, in the case of rodents, to leave the area that we want them to go away from. It's really a pretty cool situation. And, we talked about it, we fiddled with it a little bit, and my test site for a lot of years has been a USDA meat plant that was only about 0.7 of a mile from my house. Now, mind you, USDA, highly restrictive environment. There's a lot of things you can't do, and things that you can do are highly restricted and have to be documented 100%. And this was a facility where the USDA inspector was on site every single day. Well, over the years that I've been working there, we've had the opportunity to do some testing on a lot of rodent control materials. And it's been kind of fun. I've done trap testing, bait station testing, bait testing, and we've learned a lot of things about the products because it was a real world situation, and also a situation because of the PMP I had involved. I got their feedback directly as they handled products, manipulated bait stations, and made things work in the real world, not the laboratory. And it was nice because the documentation level was so high. We had USDA, we had quality assurance folks from the plant, we had regular people visiting from third-party auditors. It was pretty neat. But at any rate, the facility is very old, and it was beat up, worn out, and talk about penetration issues. It was virtually impossible to secure the facility because of the age and condition. Also, the building itself, the property itself, occupied a small block section in the part of town where the facility was located. You had a railroad track on the west side. On the other side of the railroad track, you had the City Housing Authority and a bus garage. And then catty corner across from the facility, you had a crack house. On the other side of the facility, there was a notch in the property line. There was another crack house there. And then across a dirt drive on the back of the property, there was a large wooded lot that was a homeless encampment. So the area around the plant was highly active with roof rats. And the plant itself was a beacon to roof rats. All of that wonderful scent pouring out of the building, all those spices and flavorings for the meat, all that said was, come here and feed. It is a smorgasbord of joy if you're a rodent. Well, in testing all those bait stations and all that bait over the years, oh my goodness, did we have activity. And we kept a lot of those rodents at bay, and Christmas time for me every year when the plant was shut down was a joy of trapping. I could test all kinds of devices on that wide open facility. But when I got a hold of Mark's product, we looked at the plant and we said, these regular cleanings we have to do because the USDA finds dropping signs of activity, how can we make that go away? Because those are zones I can't put in bait. And even trapping is a bit iffy in those areas. So we picked out a storeroom that sits in the center of the building. It was called the Spice Room. And that room was where all the meat flavorings were kept. And so that scent just poured out of that area. And it was a blossom of scent pouring out to attract rodents saying, come here and feed. This is such a joy. So we decided to put the repellent in that room. I checked with the USDA. I showed her the paperwork on the product, and she said, Jeff, this is fine. It's going to be in a box locked on the wall. And what we did was we used small packets of the material. Mark Weiser makes them with permeable plastic so the scent comes through. And we put those packets inside of the IBS boxes from VM Products because they're pretty well ventilated, and we wanted to get good airflow around the packet to carry the scent. Now, this is a scent that you really don't notice once you've placed it. It's not something that offends us. It's pretty cool. So we put one box on each side of the door, a total of 4 boxes covering the 2 huge steel sliding doors that went into that stockroom on each side. We left. The next day we came in, and there were no droppings in that room at all. And I thought, holy cow, maybe this stuff works. We went a week, no droppings in that room. In fact, there were no droppings in the building. Okay, this is telling us something. A month went by. The technician came in because the product is changed out monthly. We changed out the packets along with the regular services done at the facility. And at that point, I went to the general manager and I said, could we maybe go ahead and try the dry granules outside? Maybe we can keep them away. And he said, Jeff, wait. Before we do that, we haven't had any activity at all in a month. This is a miracle. Why don't we just wait? Just keep it up with the packets. We'll change them every month, and we'll add more if we see signs of activity. Okay, that sounds good to me. Well, we change the packets every month. We change the packets every month through the balance of 2014, all of 2015, all of 2016, and through the end of June 2017. Because of its age and condition, the firm made the decision to close the plant in July, August of 2017. We went all that time with zero activity from rodents inside the building because of the Nature's Defense product that we put in there. The rodents in the surrounding area were still rampant. But the bait stations around the plant, the hits dropped off dramatically in those areas. Now, I wasn't privy to all of the information myself on the bait stations. However, there was a period where I was going in to help the QA manager, who was a good friend, do some of the preparation for the audits he was receiving from third party. We were running the trend reports on the bait station and gathering the data into spreadsheets. When we did that, there was virtually no activity for months. And I remember one 6-month period, totally random, that I picked out. I had 3 bait stations on the fence line that the technician reported may have had rodent damage. He wasn't sure, but he marked it down just in case. Now, this was a facility prior to the installation of the Nature's Defense product that was rodent central. They would hammer the bait stations. I had bait stations where we did block-to-packet switch-outs, which is the proper way to use that material, and we were going through 23 to 30 packets of soft pack in a weekend in one station. And I went to nothing. Well, that's not the only place we use Nature's Defense, but it's a really good example. Time and time again, with pest control firms all over the country, they have tried this product on their worst situations. In every case, the rodents vacated and they were far easier to deal with. I just talked to a PMP yesterday who had put the product into facilities in the last 6 months after going through daily visits with his technician for weeks. The day after the product was put in, the problem stopped. It has not been repeated. This is a product that you have to learn to use and to read the instructions. It's dirt simple. But it's a different way of doing rodent control because you can take those animals, push them away from the structures you're trying to protect, and deal with them in other areas with the baits and with the traps and with the glue boards in areas you have 100% control of. It's a very unique way of service. I like what this does, and it's a 25B exempt. And the cool part about this company, Mark Weiser, the owner of the firm, is one of the most accessible individuals I have ever worked with in my 45 plus years in this industry. He will go to the field. He will spend time with you. He will answer the questions for you, and he will be there in the dirt helping you figure out what the problem is to fix it. And he does it all the time because he loves the business, he loves what he does, and he wants to bring good, solid rodent solutions to everybody. So once again, take a look at Weiser's Nature's Defense Rodent Repellent. Currently, It is supplied to the pest control industry through Target Specialty Products. And so with that, folks, if you have any questions, please feed them back through the system. We'll get some answers for you. I fully intend to get Mark Weiser and do a little bit of an interview with him very, very soon, and it will be on a podcast. And so with that, this is Jeff McGovern, the Pest Coach, signing off until our next session.
We hope this podcast has been great for you folks. If you will listen to us again tomorrow, we're going to have a fresh new episode. Until tomorrow, have a great one.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.